know that it's called the bionic, the bomb, the puff, the blow, the black, the herb, the sensi, the chronic, the sweet Mary Jane, ganja, spliff, reefer, the bad, the Buddha, the homegrown, the ill, the Maui Maui, the method, pot, lethal, turbo, Thai, shake, skunk, stress, wacky, weed, blaze, the boot, dime bag, Scooby-Doo, Bob, bogey, backyard boogie.
Yeah!
It's the Cool Nerd Week Show! That's yes.
And that's Sasha.
And we are live on Adobe Radio.
Yeah.
We made it. We're here. We're live. We're in one piece on Adobe Radio. Day after 420. So many things have happened since the last time we hung out. Find us everywhere. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us here on Adobe, obviously. And, social media places. Cool Nerd Week Show is what you can look for. If you don't find us, that's okay. Because we'll still be here. We'll still be here doing the Cool Nerd Weed Show for so many years. Our first 420 together, probably before we were the nerds, it was pre-nerds. So it was probably 2013? No, 15?
Closer to, 15, 14. Yeah, definitely. Definitely, because we started this show around 2017. So our first 420 was probably 2016. Kind of backtracking from when we started the show, and then when we worked at the weed, and then when we actually worked probably our first 420 together, which was crazy at the weed.
It was
in
always
Studio City.
Yeah, so happy belated 420 to everybody. It was 420 in 2025 yesterday, and TS and I have been doing 420s together for a long time, and we started out working on 420s. And yes, it was always my first 420 out in California, I wasn't working, but it was crazy. And then the next year I was working, and it definitely delivered. It was exactly what I expected, and even crazier. Like I was like ready for battle that day. It's like Black Friday, really. And if you think it's more chill than Black Friday, it's not. Just because it's stoner.
Yeah, they don't call them doorbuster deals for nothing. People were lined up, ready to kick down that door to get that gift bag.
Yeah, we
back in the
definitely
day.
back in the day. And we made it worth everybody's while, for sure. And every dispensary did in LA. Like that was like just the day. And I remember growing up back here on the East Coast, 420 meant like something different. It didn't mean doorbuster deals. It meant like you can smoke weed without being arrested for the most part. That was really just, I remember hearing about it in high school. And I didn't smoke weed in high school, so I was like, what do you mean? And everybody would go to Washington Square Park and smoke weed, and all the high school kids would skip school.
You can't stop all of us all at once. When all the stoners would unite in 420s previous to legalization, we'd all just charge and light up.
We have like a history of 420 somewhere, and there's no like real history. Like my dad didn't know what it was when we were telling him about it. Like he was like, "What was 420?" I was like, "What do you mean? What's 420?" My dad was the ultimate hippie, but I guess it's fairly new or something. I mean,
I guess when he was really like,
he was chopping it up.
When he was chopping it up, being a hippie, living it up, that they didn't really call it 420 back then.
No, I don't think they had like a day.
He's never heard you refer to 420. I was surprised too.
I was surprised. I don't know if he's heard of like 420 friendly. I don't know. I was like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? You know what 420 is? But yeah, so boomers don't know what it is, even though my dad was the ultimate hippie. But most people do. And those who observe, we got many 420 well wishes. Everybody wished us a happy one. Adobe Radio is always very supportive of us and reposts us or lets us take over their Instagram or anything that like we're allowed to do, because every year we're more censored than the last on social media. It doesn't seem to be getting much better, but we're working around it and we're finding ways to keep on speaking and keep on being advocates for weed. If you did read our 420 guide that was posted on the free Adobe app or adobe.com, you saw that part of our guide to a perfect 420 was being an advocate. So if you did partake in 420, maybe if you can today or tomorrow, look up some stuff, like some advocacy stuff, because our rights are being taken away a lot in this country, and that might be one of them. I hope it's not, but we'll talk later about driving through the U.S. as stoners through a stoner's eye, and what we observed and all that stuff. So yeah, I would just say if you like weed, even if you're just a casual smoker and you're hanging out with the nerds, we would like you to either listen to some past shows of ours. We do very good histories, or do your own little researches on why weed is illegal and who it affects the most that it's still illegal. I know we think it's legal, but it's not. Just because it's decriminalized and medicinal and recreational in a lot of states, it is still illegal. So 420 is a day for us to pretend like it's not illegal.
Yes, it is. It's a day to celebrate, but also a great resource is the lastprisonerproject.org, and because people are still in prison for cannabis crimes, so-called crimes, and while we are out here celebrating 420 and people are cashing in on the green rush, there are still people in prison for cannabis, which is some bullshit. So go to the Last Prisoner Project and see what they're doing. Make a little donation if you can, but just be aware while we are out living it up that there are still people in prison for cannabis.
Yeah, 100%. It's sobering and important to remember that just because we get to enjoy it doesn't mean everybody does. So you do that, and it's good to do it while you're really high too, because you feel, I don't know about you, but I feel very like, yeah, power to the people when I get stoned. So that is a great resource. That's a great website to go to. Go find, go love, advocate for the rights that you have. And we're going to tell you about our 420. So we have never together, at the very least, and certainly I haven't in a very long time, celebrated 420 on the East Coast when it's legal here in both New York and New Jersey. So obviously I grew up here, and it was illegal for all the time that I grew up, so I know what that experience is like. But I haven't been back at all since legalization, and you haven't been on the East Coast on 420 in a while, probably, right?
Yeah, this is actually my first time as well being on the East Coast during 420 and legalization.
Yeah. So I had to come.
Exciting.
Yeah, it was really exciting. We had to be on the East Coast anyways, so I figured it would be great to time it around this very special time of year. And well, how did you feel about not being in California? Were you sad?
No, I was not. I've spent many 420s in California.
You didn't miss it?
And I didn't miss it because most of those times I'm actually working. So taking the time with you so that we could actually celebrate and not be all wound up and crazy, and one of us was coming from a gig or both of us were coming from gigs, and trying to unwind and then quickly and then celebrate, or just being completely exhausted after our 420 shifts. But
Totally.
I was happy to be.
Fish said it. He was like, "Yes, is like the uncle who works on like Black Friday who can never be home for Thanksgiving dinner," and it's like
Totally.
totally, and like I felt that way too. Like I when everybody would be out, and honestly, like because it was so different to me because it was so novel because I had just come from the East Coast. I was like, "Put me in, coach. I'm ready." But I I was a green, for every pun intended. I was a green bud tender and receptionist, so I was like stoked. But I remember I would always come back after the entire day, and it was a long day. We all had to be there the full day, and I would like look at you, look at our homie Val, and I would just be like, "How's your 420?" And like you guys would be like, "Long. We're fucking tired. We want our gift bag. We want to go home." So, so I totally get that. I get that it's like when you have to leave Thanksgiving, dinner early because you got to go work that OT. You got to go work Black Friday. And you're right. We had so many years where one or the other. The last couple years I was free and you were working, but there were years where we were both doing different things that were 420 related, and we were both or I was working and you weren't. There was one year that happened, which was random, and I was spent and like so exhausted, and you were like charged up, but like almost like also exhausted because it's like I don't know. For people who work in it, there is a lot of buildup and a lot of like anticipation. So it is a very charged up time for us. So it was fun to just fully have the day out of the world that we live in and work in and exist in, and kind of just like be almost in like a foreign weed land, for us, like we're very conditioned to the West Coast 420. So that was really cool. You're right. I agree. But I miss
Yeah.
some things about California. I guess because we went into New York. I personally, on my 420s, when I go to the city, and I used to do this, so I wanted to do it this time, I would go to Central Park. And now that's not necessarily the most 420 friendly part of town. Obviously everybody was down at Washington Square Park or Penn or Union Square, wherever. But I didn't want to go there yesterday. I wanted to go to Central Park. It's just what I like to do, and it's fun. So we wound up doing that, and like we went to a couple dispensaries, which we'll talk about. But like I did miss a little bit the chaos of. I mean, I shouldn't say that with a full sentence because I didn't miss it because it's chaos. But a little bit, a little tiny, itsy, beady part of me missed the like madness that when you walk into a dispensary, it was like happy 420 and like there's like music player. We were there early though. That is also something to note, is that we are old people, and we also are people who had a family who was making a big Easter dinner because it fell on Easter this year, and we were hungry, so we wanted to get to Easter dinner on time, and that's the truth. So
Yeah, we had places to be, and showing up lit to Easter dinner was perfect. It was perfect timing. We got in the city. We did our thing. We went shopping. We got those. Well, I don't know if we got any 420 deals, but we did our shopping.
that was
We
another thing that was
smoked up in the city.
but like we had gotten conditioned to not getting fun free stuff, I think, towards the end of legalization. I'm sure there are still places that go all out, and especially with deals, like definitely. But I feel like the days where you're getting, a quad of top shelf flour for $1 or something, those days are probably mostly
They're
gone.
long gone,
So
unfortunately.
we won't get those here in this place of legalization anyway. Maybe like in other states. Tell us, what was your 420 like? Was it like chaos busy town USA, or was it kind of trickling in all day? Maybe the second dispensary we went to was more busy than the first, but and the first one was early. But I don't know, like we would be early from like the second the doors open. So I missed a little bit of that, but not like completely. It was okay that we didn't feel like we were being like clotheslined for weed. So the first dispensary we went to was that Can of Dreams.
That was indoor.
Indoor. That was the first one we went to.
Yes.
We wanted to try a new place.
Indoor trees.
Indoor
So,
trees.
how did you find them? You just went to like Weed Maps, or
Yeah. Well, I went to
however
like
you
regular
find
maps.
however you find your
I don't even use
Oh
weed
yeah,
maps out
yeah,
here.
because it's like
Yeah, I just was
no,
like
because there's
dispensary.
a lot of the dispensaries don't even list on weed maps. We found like in New Jersey, parts of New Jersey, and also like New York, like Manhattan didn't have too many listed, but
Mm-mm.
regular ass maps did.
Yeah, regular ass maps, and that's crazy because that's the only way I found dispensaries in LA, like was weed maps. And I guess maybe that was before legalization. Maybe that means something. Like it was before
Yeah,
it was,
you
post
couldn't
on.
really, and you wouldn't really list yourself on
Yeah.
Google Maps as a medical dispensary in California, like
Right. So
when
it's
we
like
were
it's
in
such
it.
a different, like comparing the two, like we do our best to do that, but it's just so different. The process and the steps that New York and New Jersey went through to get to here, so different than what California did and is doing even. So I don't know. It's just like I was just thinking about it, when we were talking about the show and like comparing everything. I was like, I guess like it's almost impossible to do it because obviously weed culture is weed culture, but the California vibe for 420 has shifted throughout the years, and I feel like definitely New York and New Jersey has shifted, but I'm not quite sure how much. Like I don't know if it went from, like what was your dealer giving you 420 deals? I guess so. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely get 420 deals from my traditional dealer when
Your your local Randy Marsh,
yeah, my local Randy Marsh, exactly. Exactly. Uh
integrity.
always had integrity. I pretty much always had a integrity, a guy that had integrity. But other than that, it's like you make sure you're stocked up before 420. But we wanted to see if we can get any deals. We didn't really get any. We had actually like we couldn't help ourselves and we kind of stocked up the night before here in Jersey, which I always do recommend to have a little bit of a starter going. So they opened up an MMD here in New Jersey, which they have in LA. So we were like, well, let's just try that. And they do very convenient order online, and that's like up my alley. So we ordered online from them, and we were pretty stocked, like to start out the day. So I wasn't feeling frantic to get weed. So by the time we were at one indoor or many indoors?
Uh, it's well, their bag says indoor, but
Okay.
then their website is Indoor Trees, which I think it was called Indoor Trees with a Z.
With a Z. Sure, of course. Well, of course, it wouldn't be weed if it was with an
Why
S.
wouldn't it be?
It wouldn't be weed. They'd be talking about actual trees. Mm.
But I was impressed with the first with Indoor Trees selection.
Yeah, they had a big selection. They
What
did. They did.
they actually had some rosin,
They did. They had like, was that the
some hash
hash
rosin.
rosin? Yeah, that was the hash rosin
Yeah,
that we found really
that
interesting.
was the hash rosin, the solventless, which was delicious. It was
It was
Hindu
really
Kush.
good.
They didn't have like a huge selection of concentrates. Um,
They had a
I
lot of
think this was
flour
the only rosin. They had a lot of flour.
and a lot of edibles that
Uh,
like are multi-state, like a lot of smokies and
and the Lost Farms and the
wilds,
Kivas and the Wilds. And we pick up
caminos.
some
Yeah, I,
Wilds there too.
yeah, I got some
And
CBC gummies.
there was we did try a little flour. I was looking kind of trying to find something sour or something that would be. I always got that question. I could. This is weird. This is weird, and I always look for, and I always want to ask what the unique New York strains are. But
Yeah, you
there
always
was
ask for the
really,
local strains.
I want to know the local.
Yeah,
I
you
want
always do that.
what
Yeah.
the locals. But there was really no bud tenders, and we were just kind of shuttled to
iPads.
a very large kiosk.
Yeah.
It was like a giant screen, a touch screen,
Yeah. Yeah, that was really
and
interesting to me. Like both places, and I guess that's like standard. I don't know. I don't live here, so I
oh yeah,
mean, I will be here for longer now, so I will do much investigating. But maybe that's just standard in New York dispensaries. That I mean, I sound really dumb now, but I
you're
because they did it a little bit here in Jersey too, and they did it in California. MedMen had the iPad thing, but we went in, they funneled us to the kiosk, and there was so much to do. Like we did it all ourselves. It's like ordering from McDonald's when they have those. Yeah, I was fine with. I prefer this because as little human interaction as possible is like what I love. But I was just like, could you imagine if we asked like our LA clientele to come in and fucking do all this themselves, check themselves
like,
out?
yeah, create an account,
Create an
check
account,
yourself out,
put your phone number in, get a text to confirm that's your phone number,
put your email in.
put your email in, put like it really. I couldn't get people to show me their ID, like when that's like the only legal requirement. Like why do I have to show you my ID? Because you have to show your ID when you buy cough medicine, man. Like it's like it's the law, But I was just as shocked as you. I wasn't like I didn't like this because I personally do, but you do like talking to people. So I would only assume that like a traditional dispensary goer or weed buyer would be a little, but I don't know, maybe not. Maybe because, we're used to not having much choice anyway and not really, weed isn't really like a social, like when you're buying it, like there's so much that goes into it. Like, do you have to, do this and that with your dealer? Like, it's coming upstairs. Are we going downstairs? Are we going somewhere funny? Are we going like to his house? Is it, so there really is, or her house or their house. Like, we're really doing a lot traditionally to buy our weeds. So maybe this is like a welcome relief. Like maybe New Yorkers are just like, ugh, just get me in there, beep, bop, boop, bippity boops, and get me out. But I would like to think that more people are curious about what they're smoking. And if we knew what we were getting, I do not think we would have gotten that weed.
We just yeah
because we were litty titties to begin with.
We were already.
Did we smoke that fat joint yet? I think we did. TS roll 2, count 'em 2. Giant cannonball. What did Fish say that it looked like the limb of Jesus' body? Like it was
it was like a piece of the cross.
It was a fiscal yard long, and it was so good.
At least the size of my thumb.
At least 2 thumbs, 2 TS thumbs. And so we were ladies. So by the time we got there, we were just kind of like, we don't know. I knew I wanted it to be like a gram. I didn't really want to get a full eighth. And we just kind of picked, you picked the sour, because you saw sour, and I saw it too. And I was like, this seems like
it's like
safe.
Juicy sour or something.
Sour
but I really
juice,
like, I've been, sour juice. I've been really into my concentrates lately, so I was happy to find some rosin.
You were satisfied, yeah.
I was very satisfied. And then we did that little flower. It was, the flower we smoked was like, it was a 0.7, because we just got
we didn't
0.7 something.
I
thought it was a full gram.
And then funny measurements.
When you rolled it, I was like, that is, who are you? Like, this is a tiny, like, that is the tiniest.
Are you conserving weed now?
Are you conserving? Like, but
is this
that was
recession?
all of it. But and then I looked at it. I was like, oh, that was just a 0.7. So that's why the cone was not entirely filled. It was some organic. Thought maybe you. I don't know. Maybe you got hit on the head and had amnesia.
In our cross country trip, I decided I was giving up weed. No, but you're right. The 0.7 was jarring because why would we think it said 0.7, in the description, but
all of yes. That small detail slipped our mind, but it was like sustainable.
Fleeting, and there was because there's also the 4 gram eighth out here too, which I have questions about.
It's not really an eighth; it's 4 grams,
right? And
which is really like confusing to a lot of people.
It's an interesting thing. I'm not quite sure why they're. I don't know. I guess there's a reason why they're selling in those weights, but I don't know it. I don't know what it is. Like, I don't really understand. Maybe somebody who knows more can explain it to us. But I don't know why they would sell 4 grams at a time. I don't know why they would sell 0.7s. That's insane to me. not a criticism, just an observation. Still had a lovely time. The bartenders were very lovely. The ones that we did talk to briefly, and we were shown where to go both times. You know, they just kind of like, over here, over here, over here. Go in line and pay for your stuffs. And I mean, look, I liked it. I liked the process like that personally. Yeah.
I would like a little bit more interaction for me. I'm sure I could have asked somebody something. Like everything had little descriptions on it, but
there were people there.
There were. I should have opened my mouth at this time. Hey, somebody want to help me out over here?
Hello.
Hello.
I'm over here. I'm standing here.
Buying weed over here.
I'm buying weed over here. But we did get, ultimately, we got a yummy concentrate. We got 0.7 of weed. And then, I wanted to get vapes for the fams because we were going to Easter dinner. So then we went to...
Gotta bring gifts.
Yeah, you gotta bring some goodies from the day. I don't know why in my head I was like, we're going to come back like with a bounty. But I kind of forgot that New York doesn't do free stuff ever when it comes to weed. And we were told that. And I should have known that there's no free things. I don't know what New Jersey did. We didn't go to the dispensary I wanted to here in New Jersey. Maybe they gave away stuff. Maybe it's faster and looser here in New Jersey. Are you looking it up? No.
I did see on the New Jersey websites, the weed websites, that they were doing more like discount deals. They had more like advertised deals, but I didn't see anything that was like gift bag.
No, there was like little events, like when you went to like each dispensary, it would be like today, whatever off, whatever. So I don't want to say there were none. There were definitely. It just, like there's no free gifts. I mean, whatever. Like that's okay. Like it, it's okay. But that is just, we did experience that in LA. It was like just an overflowing of weed, and it still is. It's just different. I don't know how to explain it, but it was very pleasant. Everybody was very pleasant, very nice, very happy, just like as they should be on 420. 420 is a very good day, so everybody did seem to be having a nice time. Uptown was pretty quiet in terms of 420. People were more so going to Easter stuff, but that was okay. I wanted that too. I didn't really need to be a part of the big Washington Square.
And when we went to Canada Dreams, the party was a little later in the day, and it seemed like their 420 celebration was just kicking off. They were
it did seem like that, yeah.
Opening up all of their doors. They had the DJ going. Everybody there was very cool too. That was
also everybody there was very, very cool. Yeah, both places, everybody was really cool. But they were just starting to get their party on, and we saw that they were open till 2 a.m. too, which is crazy. 2 a.m. is wild work. Do not.
Yeah, I thought opening at 6 a.m. was wild, but being open until after midnight is fucking crazy. I don't know.
The saving grace about working 420s was that we closed at 8 by law.
Yeah.
So get the fuck out of there, or else we're gonna be in trouble. So it'd be like, bang. When it became recreational, it was less easy to lock doors on people. But
even being open until 10 p.m. in California is
I thought that was really late.
Totally. As the night goes on, it gets crazier. People are drinking. People are like off work, and
let's stop at the dispensary, after work or after we go have some margaritas and shit. I don't want to be a part of that experience, but I'm very grateful for the people who do, and I did at some point, but now the people, they scare me. So I personally, like, I feel like, it felt just like I was living here again. It felt good to be able, really good to be able to get weed and then just like work it into my day, which is what you do with recreational weed. But it was just nice to do that on 420 here on the East Coast with some cool dispensaries that were. I am not on completely on the concentrate train yet. I'm having a lot of trouble purchasing Puffco, so I'm still smoking a lot of weed, and I like California weed a whole lot, and that's what I judge a lot of. That's what I compare a lot of weed against, which I have learned to not do, but.
It's the bar has been set so high by
It is.
California.
But don't get me wrong, New York. I was like on one. I was like, never have good weed here. But that's false, and I want to rescind that statement. New York has fire weed, and I actually will say, I will be out in the city more, and I will do my due diligence and go to dispensaries. Most of the bodega shops are closed, so I didn't even get to really experience them. I didn't really want to BH, but they're all closed. Like all of them are like boarded up. So
there's no more RVs.
No.
With parked
Weed
around the
lollipops.
city with like exactly.
No more of those. No more like rainbow colored awnings that have like every logo of California brands that you've ever seen out here. They're all gone. So, it would be worth it. I saw that. I don't know if you saw that Seth Rogen clip of him on Howard Stern where he's like talking about getting weed from his weed dealer, and his weed dealer shops at a weed place. And he like let it slip that because Seth Rogen was like, "Where do you even get your weed?" He was like, "Oh, I just get it at the store, also," or something like that. And I was like, he probably doesn't go to the store and buy it at like full price. Like he probably has like a homie.
Oh,
You know
I
what
mean,
traditionally.
we true.
If I were to guess, and I don't know, you know what I mean? I don't know about these.
We've had other A-list people on that said they just get it from their homies.
Well, he gets it from a dealer, but the dealer. Oh, you've
the
had
dealer.
No, I'm talking about the dealer said that he gets it from a store.
So he's just redistributing.
Yeah,
everything?
Like he's buying it and then redistributing it, and then because Seth, his thing was like, because Howard was like, "Oh, do you feel like you need to be loyal to like your weed guy?" I don't know. This could have been made up, but he was like, "No, well, it's so funny because I was like, I started to go to the dispensary more and more because it's legal and it's like easier." He's like, "But I try to throw my dealer a bone here and there." And one day I just like asked him where his weed came from, and he was like, "I go to the store and I get it also." So I feel like there's probably like the dealer gets it from a friend who works at the dispensary.
Sure.
I don't think the dealer's walking in and paying 40% fucking tax and then upselling to Seth Rogen. Like, to make a profit, if you sell weed the traditional way in California, you got to know someone who has an overflow of weed.
Every celebrity that has ever come into any dispensaries that we've worked in has always received a discount and mad love.
Yeah.
If they're willing to actually come in.
But what if
themselves.
they're the celebrity's dealer?
But if they're the celebrity's dealer, then we need a more personal.
That's my point.
Connection.
Is the celebrity, the dealer is going and saying that he gets store weed and sells it to Seth Rogen.
Huh.
I think that's a made up story.
I think that I'm calling Spice.
Let's say you had a longtime client and your demand was high. Would you go to the dispensary and go buy a fucking OZ of?
Oh, hell no.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
how am I gonna come up?
He gets it at the store. No way. He either goes to a cowboy shop or he knows a manager who has, or he knows somebody from Grow who had weed that fell off the back of a truck.
That's really the only
speculation.
Like Seth Rogen's not getting the Kushco jars from somebody who's going to the dispensary and getting them at full price.
I don't even know why we're talking about this.
This is ridiculous.
We're not even that high. Anyway, 420 was really lit. Why did I bring that up? Oh, I'm sorry. I derailed the whole show.
We love Seth Rogen.
We do. We talk about him like every single show now. He's doing the studio and it's so good. And he's like been at the top of my mind. Maybe we can manifest him coming on. He would be so sweet. We would have such a great time, and we would be the only people who he couldn't outsmoke. I will stand by that. We could stand next to Snoop, and we can stand next. Well, I can. You can too.
I can go toe to toe with the best of you.
I think you could do it. I would believe it. If it's blunts, maybe not. But
I've been training my whole life.
we
for
did
this.
smoke a cigar wrapped cannon of weed this 420, and that made it a good 420. I don't want to make it sound like it was anything negative. It was nothing but good,
No.
nothing but nice. The vibes
gotta-
were fucking on point. I was just being like a little bee about outdoor sun-grown weed, but that's just because I'm a brat and fuck me. But everything about the dispensary experience, you wanted more interaction, but I loved it. The vibe of the day, nary anybody around to give us any jazz, any static. we had a great 420, and we hope you did too. We really do. It's a very good day. It's an important day. Kind of got lost in the sauce, I feel like, this year, a little bit of the fucking weight of this year. So we're trying to like keep this as a good show. Good positive day was had yesterday.
We'll keep it positive. We'll get back to politics and fight the power next week.
Yeah, today we're just talking about the day in the life of the nerds. So we are going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk about these United States of cannabis.
We salute you, the United States of cannabis, under all 50 strains. One pre-roll, under bong. It's the Cool Nerd Weed Show.
And we're back.
We're back,
It's the Cool Nerd Weed Show. That's TS.
and that's Sasha.
And we're live on Adobe Radio on April 21st, 2025. We are on the East Coast. That is where we are live from this time around. Usually we are both on the West Coast, or one of us is on the East Coast, but not both of us. But we took a trip, a long-awaited Cool Nerd Weed Show cross-country trip together to get me to the East Coast, and we had an interesting time. It's been in terms of the weed observations. We had a great time because we're besties, and it was a really nice time. Thank you for taking me to the East Coast.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
And I hope to do it again because it was a lot of fun, and I've done it so many times, but I saw it like, you know, through new eyes because we were talking about stuff. It was like we listened to different things than I usually do. We talked about different things. It was just, you know, it's a different experience when you do it with somebody else.
You know, every mile of the journey where everything is at. Yeah, I was like, how do you remember that there's a very specific rest stop, a truck stop, or a restaurant, or a little fast food spot, like at
We've
mile
done
marker
it like a billion times. So like
01.
we always just want, and the first few times that we've done it, we always accidentally stop at these ones. And then like the last few years we've been like, we've definitely like always go with this one. I don't even mean to, but then it turns out like, I'm like, oh yeah, this one has like a Chester's or something. Like, but yeah, no, it was good. What else is interesting is that the cannabis laws throughout the United States have also been changing since I have started to do this journey. Now, I mean, I started to do it 12 years ago, 11 years ago, when weed wasn't legal really anywhere I was driving through. Sometimes, back then, I don't remember seeing anything, but then like once it got a little bit more accepted throughout the U.S., like, you know, it was kind of like California, Colorado with the big ones, and then like Oklahoma kind of like, and this is important to remember, like Oklahoma kind of fell in there and started like advertising billboard. Like you'd drive into Oklahoma and you'd see like mad billboards. And I found that to be really interesting one year. I was like, whoa, there's a lot of advertisements for weed in Oklahoma. Like, okay, like get on with it. And then you cross into Texas and you see billboards that are like, "Do you have weed? You're gonna fucking get the electric chair." Like,
Oh, yeah. From our first stop was New Mexico, and then when you cross, I thought this was fucking crazy. When you cross from New Mexico into Texas, like, there's one. This was two billboards, one facing east and one facing west. So when you go into Texas, it says there's like a gummy bear in handcuffs, and it says cannabis in Texas is a felony. If you get caught, call this fucking number, and there's some high-priced lawyer.
It was like an ambulance chaser, but it was like, oh, I guess like they must be looking for you if you're coming from either side.
And then on the same billboard, and when you're heading west,
this is so funny.
It says cannabis is legal 25 miles away is where your first stop is in New Mexico.
In New Mexico. Yeah, that's what that was really, really funny. And I don't know if I'd ever seen that or if I even realized that. But yeah, we basically stopped at the border of New Mexico and Texas and Oklahoma and Texas. Like we were basically like at the, whatever, we kept on stopping at those rest stops. So we did see that, like, because it is hella legal in New Mexico. Which I always do want to go to a dispensary there, and I never get to. That little stretch, like New Mexico and Arizona and stuff, like you are kind of in the southwest of like legal weed, which is comforting. Do not ever travel with weed in your car. Please don't ever do it. Never travel over state borders with weed in your car. Don't do it. It doesn't matter if you think it's legal in a place, especially if you're going to the south. Do not drive with weed in your car, especially if you're going to a legal state where you can purchase it legally. Don't drive with weed in your car. We were observing these things from sober points of view. We did not smoke. We will tell you about the edibles that we wound up consuming, but we obviously we didn't smoke. We didn't vape. We just were on our merry way. I don't even think I had edibles because I hadn't gotten any. We took our muffins, but they were like buried in I don't even know like where they wound up. So we didn't have any access to any cannabis through the legal states, which was pretty funny. But we went through the whole thing. No weed, no nothing, because it is very illegal in a lot of the places that we were at. It's probable cause for a lot of the places where we were at. And I'd like to note Oklahoma at this point in the show, because when you mention Oklahoma, you think of all of those billboards and how legal they are, or they were. And I did not, first of all, the billboards are not there anymore. Those aren't there anymore. The Texas ones still are. The sad gummy bear who was in handcuffs, which we'll post on our Instagram tomorrow. That was still there, but there was like Smokelahoma and like Smoke KC or whatever. Like there was like mad. I'm sure I have them in my photos somewhere, and they're not there anymore, which I thought was interesting. And we also have been talking about like kind of a bit of a saga with weed in Oklahoma, right?
Yeah, they were trying to actually legalize adult use, and it didn't pass, but they seem to love their medical cannabis system in Oklahoma.
They do. They definitely do.
It's fairly accessible. It's a number of conditions qualify, and it seems like it's pretty easy to get your doctor's recommendation. I think they have you can go in and get like a 1-day recommendation if you're in Oklahoma. Right.
So it's like that California status, right? It's that status where you can go put your like hotel address in, get yourself a medical card. So it's extremely decriminalized and extremely accessible. But what is it not? Recreational or legal federally. So it is not fully legal. I would like people to remember that. I would like myself to remember that. Because you think of Oklahoma, and you think, oh, I will not be terrified if I get pulled over by a cop. But you should be. You should be fucking terrified. And you should know what your rights are, very much so. And you should know that from Oklahoma on, you might be the gummy bear in the handcuffs if you have anything on you. Because then we spent a chunk of time in Tennessee and Arkansas. Well, Arkansas, then
Ye-
Tennessee.
Yeah. So that was our next after we left New Mexico, made it safely through Texas. Our next landing point was in Arkansas. So when was it?
Yeah, Fort Smith.
Arkansas, where? Oh yeah,
Oh.
That was where the liquor store was.
No, that was Knoxville.
Oh, that was Knoxville. Oh my
That was
God.
Knoxville because we
Okay.
got Chattanooga whiskey.
True.
It was our last
Okay.
night,
So
and it was a long day, and we got So we'll get to Tennessee in like 2 minutes.
Oh yeah. Okay. So in Arkansas, cannabis for adult use is illegal and it is a misdemeanor. They do have medical cannabis available, but they don't quite have the system in place. But you can possess up to 2.5 ounces for a 14-day sort of medicine, like a 14-day span of medicine. You're allowed to have 2.5 ounces. Cultivation is illegal, so I don't know how they get their medical cannabis in Arkansas right now. If you can't grow it yourself, you can't dispense it.
Right.
I don't know how you're getting it.
Maybe it's like there's like one place or something, or like it comes from that like one federally legal place that was like they would like. I think they were the ones who would like send New York their medical cannabis like for a long time. From
Yeah.
like Maryland or something. I don't even know where it is. It might be West Virginia. I don't even know. It's in a random place that you're like, what? It's there? And that's like the only sanctioned federally legal cannabis place. I don't know if that even still exists. That's like an old school thing.
But then there are some cities in Arkansas that have made it, like Fayetteville, which we passed through, and Eureka Springs. That is it's low priority enforcement for law enforcement in those particular. So it's yeah, I'm still scared.
One year I was like, yeah, it's like not even like a felony. And like my husband was like, do you want to come back and go to court and deal with whatever you're gonna have to deal with our fucking California ass plates? No. Like, so, and you know, it's true. Who wants the hassle? And I also, this sounds kind of lame, but I also kind of like to be a little respectful to the law. Mostly, you know, like I sound like a weenie, but like if I'm in Rome, I will do as the Romans do. If I am in fucking Arkansas, I will do as the Arkansans do. If I'm in Knoxville, you bet your buns I'm gonna do what the Knoxvillians do and go to the liquor store and get some Chattanooga whiskey with my best friend and some Delta 9 THC drinks. Oh, wait, Delta 8. No, Delta 9. Why do I fuck that
Delta 9s.
Delta 9 THC. So we found the mecca of Delta 9 in Knoxville, Tennessee, which was a wonderful experience. Thank you, Knoxville, for everything. For Johnny, for your lovely Hooters, and for your great Chattanooga whiskey, which came from Tennessee. What a great way to end that trip.
And your Crescent 9 and your Smokies drink. We pulled into this backwoods liquor store, and the first thing that I stumbled upon, there was, and I posted this picture, was a full shelf, top to bottom, with various federally legal hemp derived Delta 9 drinks. And they ranged from 5, 10, and up to 50 milligrams per drink.
Yeah.
And they were like between $4 and like $10.
Yeah, they were.
There's like, we saw like brands we recognize from California. We saw like the Keef drinks and the Smokies.
Something else too. I forgot what else. Yeah, there was something else there that I remember I saw, and it was welcomed. It was lovely, and I was surprised kind of a little bit because I always felt the least comfy with my weed ass self in Tennessee. I always felt the most like I couldn't smoke weed when I was in Tennessee because it was very volatile with weed for a very long time. So I've been like kind of groomed to be like uptight about it there. So it was really nice to be able to kick back with a ginger and whiskey drink in the local Holiday Inn Express after hanging out in the parking lot.
What was going on in the parking lot when I was
Well,
procuring
Waylon the
our
pit bull almost
libations?
got out of the back of the truck, and my good friend with the beautiful pink rainbow mullet had to get him. Waylon was a good dog. Saw my dogs, didn't freak out, so that was cool. And then it was like the guy who was in the liquor store came running out. I don't think anything went wrong. I just think he was he heard the dog commotion and just kind of jumped into the closed door fucking A-Team style almost to get into the car, which was pretty impressive. And then to my left there was two strapping young lads having a great old time. It was fucking Wednesday night, celebrating their long day of work, tapping a keg
they were literally tapping a keg in between the liquor store and the convenience store that may have been a gas station.
But I don't, now that I think about it, remember actual pumps. Yeah, I think it was converted into a combination liquor store, convenience store.
They were literally tapping their keg in the back of the pickup.
Yeah, and you know what? Hell yeah.
Do it.
Fucking live your life. And we're going to go. We did get pretty, I don't know, I felt something. I did feel.
We'd already been on a little tea breaks for our
for
the first 2 days of our journey. So those 10 milligram drinks usually metabolize faster. I was pretty lit. We were laughing. We were having a good time.
We were giggling a lot. And we drank another one when we got here, and we were also giggling then. Delta 9 is not my method of choice, to be completely H. I like that it makes cannabis, I like that it makes the essence of cannabis accessible for a lot of people, but I'd like us to also remember what hemp derived and what cannabis derived is. So there was a lot of advertisements that said, cannabis here, cannabis over here, here's some cannabis, THC here. And I would love us to remember cannabis is illegal in Tennessee. It is not legal in Tennessee. Maybe medicinally at some point, a little bit kind of. Hemp is legal, nice and good and legal. So when you're getting cannabis, if you would like to stay above the law, maybe you are a felon already, go for the hemp. You hold off on the actual cannabis because you can get in trouble for that. So I just want to put that out there. The misleading billboards were starting to piss me off. By the time we saw the 6 420 friendly, no, you is not. This is hemp is hemp, and I'm so glad that it exists. I like that the hemp law was a nice loophole for everybody to have access to this sort of weed or this sort of method of medicine, but it's not cannabis. It is not. It is hemp. It's not traditional cannabis, I should say, because yada, yada, yada. We know the differences. We have 3 minutes left, so we can't go through them, but we know the differences between cannabis and hemp. If you don't, we'll do a show about it. Again, we've done many, but there is a difference. Cannabis is illegal, traditional cannabis, over whatever percent of THC cannabis, and hemp
0.3%.
0.3%. Over 0.3, illegal. Under 0.3, legal loophole. So you can consume it and enjoy it. Go ahead. It was great. It was a fucking oasis. We're not gonna do our Huff and Puff. We're gonna just end the show because I really did want to give Tennessee its props for making the nerds feel welcome. I was like, what are they, the friendship state?
The volunteer state.
I was like, same thing. Thank you, Tennessee. Thank you, Arkansas, for welcoming the nerds. Thank you, New Mexico. The rest of you did all right. But we would love, thank you, New York. And thank you, New Jersey. We had a great 420. It was one of the best 420s I've ever had in my whole life. And do you want to say anything else before?
Don't panic.
Okay. It's organic.